So guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Dave, for those of you that don't know me, and this is our Mahker YouTube channel. This week is going to be very different. I've had so many inboxes off clients, customers, friends who want to know about Scram. So today I am going to tell you about what is Scram Africa.
Stop posing, look at you. Jesus, well. Give us a wave, sir.
What time is it?
The time is sponsored by Elliot Brown.
Built to last in alien blind.
Oh, Doctor, that's gone on Kyle. Oh, look at him, Rowan's got him.
Found something this floppy head's good at. So how it all started is Dave Tree, good client of mine, approached me and said, Dave, do you fancy going to Africa? And I was like, what's the catch here? Like, what's he up to? So the catch is you had to have a 30-year-old plus vehicle. And I was like racking my brains thinking, what have I got here? I've got a load of series outside, I've got loads of Range Rover Classics. And I was literally picking my mind thinking, what vehicle could I take? I didn't want to take anything too new because as they see, let me show you this. This is their poster. So on this poster you've got classic bikes, you've got Series 2, Series 1s on the picture. So in my opinion, I wanted to take something that was of that era, if you like. So I racked my brains, had a few thinks about it, and I was thinking, God, I'm so busy, I can't take any time off. But then I thought, you know what the heck, I've got to go. So got back in touch with Dave. I was like, look, Dave, I've got this military Wolf outside, but I've actually just sold it. And it was literally, I think, a month before I'd sold it. So anyway, Mr. Captain Ratty, those of you that know him on Instagram.
It's very cool.
It doesn't edit, does it?
I pinged him a message. I said, Rob, I said, what are you doing these dates? I said, do you fancy coming to Africa? And he was very enthusiastic about it. You don't need to persuade Mr. Rob too easily. So anyway, I got in touch with him and we decided to do it as a three-way. And we were a bit like, oh, is it going to work? Is three a crowd? And it actually turned out to be, yeah, we bickered, yeah, we had little fallouts, but you know what? It was fantastic. So the three of us got together. Rob had never met Dave before, so I've made two friends in this world, so that's good. And what can I say? That building the car was stressful, getting the bits in time was stressful, but we made it happen. Those of you that have seen Rodent on the build, we started off with a 1987, 86 I think it is maybe. So it's a Defender, early Defender with a 200 TDI. It was a bit of a hybrid. Someone had chucked a Disco TDI in it, done a bit of a bodge, but there's some nice bits in the vehicle. The chassis was amazing. So Rob turned up here and he said, Dave, let's do like a quick resto. I was like, Rob, there's no such thing as a quick resto. So the body came off and the idea was tart the chassis up, leave the axles on, do what we can do, you know, get it ready to go, but get it reliable. Anyway, next thing I know, turn around in the workshop, the whole body is off, the axles are off, the chassis is in bits. And I'm like, okay, so we're going the full hog. So Darren, my number two, had then talked Rob into going full restoration on it. So we've got an engine in bits, we've got a gearbox in bits. The gearbox has been sent off to Tom at Winchester Gears. The axles are in bits on the floor. And I was like, what can I do to make this faster? So we found some axles off a low mile Puma, we chucked them on. But that wasn't enough. Rob wanted to put an ATB in the rear diff, so we did that. And Rob will be loving this part of the video because I kept ringing him. I was like, look, Rob, your bill's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We decided to give it a 10 grand budget. It turned into a 40 grand budget. But you know what? This trip was absolutely worth it, what I'm going to tell you now. So the car flew together amongst our big builds. Some late nights, some dark evenings, eating pizza and Chineses, but we got there in the end. But what I really want to say is, and what really touched me the most, is building this car with my own hands, with Rob's hands. Every single one of my guys had an input in it, and it was a safe car. It had a roll cage, it had a powerful engine. I want to say we were in probably 210 horsepower, maybe a bit more. Halfway through the trip, I decided to wind the power up a little bit more, and we got a very tasty exhaust note from the car, as you'll see in the videos. But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk you through how it happened in stages. So at the start of the trip, I wasn't too keen on this, so I had to get up at 5 AM one morning, and I like my bed now, getting a bit older. So we headed down to Rob's house in the morning, met Dave halfway, got to Rob's house, I think it was 8 o'clock on the Friday morning, and we all jumped in Rodent. I had my 3 bags, I got nicknamed 3 Bag Dave. Them two had these 2 little carry bags, and I was thinking, how are you going to survive for 2 weeks in them 2 little bags? And I can tell you in the story in a minute how it went down. So me being an ex-Marine and getting it all packed well, I had like 10 pairs of boxers, 10 pairs of socks, you know, thinking, right, I want a pair for every day, and I'll just bin them. Anyway, so them 2 are there washing them in between the trips. But anyway, back to it. So we leave Rob's and we head down to the Eurostar. So we jump on the train, and immediately the car is getting lots of attention. We've got it packed, and as you'll see in these next clips, the car is literally looking iconic, safari ready, canvas is up, I'm sat in the back, already getting chilly, thinking, oh my God, I've got 2 weeks in the back of this machine. But I've got a beer fridge on my left, and I've got my bags on the back, and I'm sat in the back, living the dream. 2 weeks off work, fantastic, let's make it happen. So anyway, we get to France, we decide to start travelling up, and excuse me on this, I can't remember exactly the exact places we stopped in France. We landed at the Eurostar, and then we travelled, I'm pretty sure it was south, through the south of France. We stopped at a nice, lovely little village and had to sample some of the local wine, didn't we? And me and Mr. Ratty got a little bit drunk. So straight away, and as you see in the videos, Rob's climbing out the back of the vehicle, trying to get a bottle of whiskey mid-route because we ran out of wine. And Mr. Dave decided to have to drive, which was the other Dave that was with us on the trip. So this is day 1. Week 1, he's f***ing. We're drinking whiskey, en route to fuck knows where. Anyway, so we work our way through France. We decided to stop at this lovely little chateau midway through. Had a fantastic night, and of course, first night away from all of our partners, what do we want to do? Go out and get absolutely turboed. And believe me, the next day I was slightly hungover, let's to say the least.
This is the morning after. I'm feeling pretty good. Ratty, how are you feeling?
A little jaded.
And Dave, how are you feeling? Dave?
Oh, Dave. Oh,
Where's Dave? Dave?
We appear to have lost Dave.
Oh well, no bad thing. Good morning, Dave. How are you feeling?
Don't be like me. Don't be like Dave.
Don't be like Dave. That's our new motto, is it not?
Don't be like Dave, yeah.
Don't be like Dave, yep.
Dave drank too much wine.
Dave drank too much wine?
Too much whiskey.
Yeah. Feeling a little bit
My head's off.
tender? Is that the word, tender?
It looks like jam on the curtains.
You've thrown up on the curtains, have you?
Is that a dirty protest? Yeah. No, I tried escaping out the window to do it out the window, and I couldn't get through the curtain.
Oh dear, Dave. What do we say, Rob? Don't be like Dave.
So anyway, the second day of travelling through France, we decided to travel further down through the country. And as you see in these epic videos, we found a castle that was an old chateau. I believe it was a prison back in the day, like a defensive prison. And it had a hot tub, it had a swimming pool. I was in my element, but we only had a couple of hours there because we had to crack on to make the ferry. I think it was on Sunday morning, something like that.
I found our fellow man. There he is, there, look. I think he's naked. The rare creature that is Tasker. Give us a wave, sir. In his castle, in the abode.
So we made the ferry, and of course, as usual, we're there, and they'd only just opened these borders, which was a big worrying factor to us. Like, we'd booked this time off work, we wanted to make the ferry, and all we heard on the news was, borders are shut, borders are shut. Anyway, we get to the ferry to be greeted by these vans stacked high with, like, I think they were bicycles, and the Moroccans, like the locals, obviously, they've come over to France, they've come over to Spain, and obviously, it's a cheaper economy out there, so people are selling things that we actually class as scrap. And I was thinking to myself, God, all the bikes are thrown in the scrap, and they look like they're fetching millions out there. But anyway, back to it. We get loaded on the ferry, and then the ferry decides to tell us that it's going to take 2 days to get there. And I'm like, wow, I never did my reading up. I never looked on this trip, and I was like, what am I going to do for 2 days? Like, Jesus, I never have 2 days to do nothing. So Rob says, let's get pissed. So, of course, it's always like 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, so we decided to get a bit drunk on the first day. And being out at sea and being drunk was not very clever. So the next day we thought, what we're going to do then? So we decided to, get to know everyone, and what better than to have a few drinks and a few beers and a few whiskies. And let me tell you that the guys on this trip, you couldn't have selected a better group of people to put on a trip. Like, if you put us all in a tank, we'd all get on. And it was fantastic. There was guys from every corner of the world. There was Australians. There was guys from Munich. There was guys from Barcelona. Guys from Switzerland. And it was just lovely. And it was crazy because I know Dave was there, and there was the South African, there was a guy from New Zealand, and everyone just gelled. And it was just lovely that after COVID and everyone's had all this great distance, that so many blokes could just gel and get together and have such an awesome trip. So big thumbs up to Fuel Motorcycles for making this trip happen, and the organisers. And it was just breathtaking to see grown men gel. Anyway, back to it. So we land in Tangier in Morocco. And then we have to head off to Touan, and I might get these pronunciations wrong, but we head off to a place called Midelt, and that was, oh God, I want to say 400 clicks, something like that. And believe me, I started thinking, oh boy, this is one long time in a Land Rover. So getting a bad back and all them usual things. But we're making progress, we're getting through Morocco, and I'm thinking, God, the car's behaving itself. We have the first hotel stay, everyone's tired, everyone gets an early night. So this is day 2 in Morocco. What are you doing, Rob?
No.
That's the wrong hole, mate.
No, that's why it's dirty.
Morning guys, we're at Hotel La Paloma in Morocco. We have a Range Rover Classic 300 TDI competing. A couple of series over there. Another series over here. So anyway, the second day, and I'll show you on this map. So stage 1 was 457 kilometres. Let me tell you, so I saw that and I thought, oh, kilometres aren't that far, like, you know, trying to do the maths and work out what the difference is. But you can imagine here, so we go through the city of Fez, and then we're working through the old border, like going through the towns, and you have to drive through these towns at like 10 mile an hour because there's kids everywhere. The kids are running out to the cars because they know that we're foreigners and they know that we're going to give them sweets, and you've got to do the right thing. I think I gave all my sweets away in the first 10 minutes, but that's us being nice. So we're doing off-road sections, and the off-road sections were very testing, especially for the 200 TDI, but as you can see here, I don't know if you can see on that. So we literally went through the heart. So we're heading for the mountains, climbing. The bikes are ripping past us. I think there was about 20 bikes in total that started the trip, and there was about 6 cars. We met a couple of Italians from Geneva. They tagged along in a 200 TDI Defender, and those guys, I take my hat off to them. So 2 guys that have never been in a Defender ever before. They literally called the local 4x4 shop and said, go find us a Defender, and it was a nail, not going to lie. So of course, I then signed myself up to repairing this car every single day. And if I was to do it again, guys, I would make it known that I am not a mechanic and I don't own a 4x4 fabrication. And I was literally, let's just say, but anyway, I made good friends, and I got beers bought for me left, right and centre, and coffees by these 2 Italians, Mario and his, I think it was his missus's brother. So sorry I forgot your name, but it was hard to pronounce. But anyway, we had a fantastic time. And there was also 2 Spanish guys who come in a Range Rover Classic. There was also 2 series as well, Harry and Tom. Sorry, Tom and Richard. And those 2 guys, take my hat off to them, like driving a series around Morocco, like, guys, you are crazy. Especially because neither of them had a turbo, but Tom had a V6, so hat off to him. So after stage 1, we get to the hotel.
I fancied going swimming, but there's no fucking water in it. Oh.
And then we headed to Midelt. And this was, from memory, a very tricky one. So we had a job here of calling it a school and giving some reading materials, notepads, pens, that kind of thing. Because out there, guys, like, it really did touch me how they've got nothing. So we make a phone call and we have a delivery the next day. Those guys out there really had nothing. And we found a small family on the way here that you'll see in these photos. Cute little boy, about 3 years old, reminded me of my son Hugo, and it did really touch me to the point of where we gave him some money so they could buy nice things, but you could almost see that the money wouldn't affect them. They didn't know what money was, so we gave them drink, we gave them a bottle of water and a couple of bottles of Coke and things like that, and that went a lot further. And I said to my partner when I get back, I said, I want to actually go there next year, go and find that same family and take them some clothes, some shoes, and something that will make their life better. But back to it, so we visited the school, as you see in the photos. We gave them the reading material, I gave a couple of guys some t-shirts and things like that, just to, you know, get us out there and do our bit for the community. So after that bit, we headed to the Gare Mador. So the Gare Mador, these were the hotels that we were stopping at in between. And as you see here, there was a very tricky section. So this tricky section here, where you're coming through the rocks, we basically had to manoeuvre our way through the gorges, through the riverbeds, and back through the climbs. And this was challenging, guys. Like, the lads were binning it on the bikes constantly, and all we were hearing is, oh, I've lost my brake pedal, I've lost my clutch lever, because these were challenging. And I tell you what, I wouldn't want to do it on my own, not in the middle of that place.
So we had to drive up the mountain, didn't we?
After a good night's kip, we headed on stage through Gare Mador, the Sahara camp. This is featured in the James Bond film, and there's a big Sahara, I want to say it's like an old prison, if you like, and you'll see some of the photos of where we've got the Landrover high up on the cliff top. You'll recognise those from the James Bond film. And amazing. I think it's where they featured the camp in the film. But to be there, it was nice. And what blew my mind the most, in Morocco, everywhere we went, we had 4G. So my brother-in-law was messaging me, going, Dave, how are you getting these updates up so regularly? And I'm like, dude, there's 4G everywhere. I'm like, the UK can't get it right, but the Moroccans seem to. So anyway, we crack on that day, but we get to this camp, and I've got a bit of a video on here, and I found out that Dave and Rob, after a few beers, right, snore like walruses. And did me and the Italians sleep? Did we? Heck. So we decided to get back up, drink some more whiskey until we fell asleep, practically unconscious. But yeah, that's the way to get over snoring. So I remember there was lots of repairs needed on that night. Not to our vehicle. Our vehicle was absolutely fantastic. I don't think we even popped the bonnet. The only thing that we popped was the whiskey cupboard. So me and Rob got on that very heavily.
Morning guys, this is Gare Mador. This is the base camp. So they have mechanics that work through the night. Very helpful guys if you need them. Very good for the value for money. There's the rodent. We haven't had to put a spanner near it, funny enough. So she's been going well, very well indeed. Excuse the alcohol, that helped us sleep on the rocks last night. Slept in here last night with Dave snoring like a bear. We believe that this place was used in a James Bond film. Wish I could sleep like him. It's in the middle of nowhere, having a right good snooze. So we are in the middle of nowhere. Wow. Anything for the Instagram. Fancy finding a Range Rover Classic up here. Hang on, just getting some videos, Rob. Yeah, sit on the edge of that bit. There. What is this place?
So the first off-road section the following day, and what really annoyed me and a few others on this was we had to do back-to-back camping, and it's a bit sticky out there, and me, I'm a bit of a sweaty sod, and the only thing I would change is basically breaking up the nights when you're camping, you know, somewhere to have a sleep, somewhere to have a nice shower in between the camp nights, because I'm not roughing it anymore, I'm not in the Marines, and it's like, it's nice to just have a nice pleasant wash after a day in that sweaty truck, believe me. But anyway, we went to the Sahara camp in Dades, and this was pretty unique. So we got there in the dark because we decided to help a couple of guys that were stuck in the sand. And what I would say to the guys who go here on bikes, make sure you get some prep on board. Like, I don't want to sing from like my experience, but I saw some guys that hadn't got a clue how to ride their bikes in sand. And that's what one thing I would give you a heads up in is go get some off-road experience, go and bury yourself in sand because it's hard graft. And I saw some of them lads really struggling, so that's why we helped them.
So this is like one of the most technical stages so far. We've got a guy stuck down here. Here we are in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
It's fantastic, honestly.
Having fun?
Absolutely fun, and the
Welcome to the sweatbox.
Yeah.
Oh, warm enough?
Huh?
Warm enough?
Yes. Oh, it's cool.
Back over there. We have to walk through this road. So Rob's trying to curb his alcoholism, so he's now drinking Blue Becks. Feel sorry for Rob. Donate £2 a day to his alcohol fund. You can't afford this gentleman lifestyle any longer. See if he wants a beer, Rob. Do you want a beer, Boris? Boris the bullet gun.
Enjoying it still?
Fucking dust cloud behind us. Hey guys, who's this? This is Mohammed.
Wait.
This is the shower. Where's the rest, mate? Oh, this is getting interesting. Where's the women?
We might be drip drying.
Oh, I see.
Like a bloody towel in my
This is how they stop the Aborigines having a shower. They take the head off. The middle of Morocco with Mohammed and his Landrover.
That's a Landrover, way.
He's now branded.
Defender.
Cheers, Mohammed.
Mohammed. Mohammed, way. Mohammed. Mohammed the Defender.
He's a good guy.
That's a good, very good.
You put another one on? I think we put one. Let's put one here.
See?
So this 200 TDI has done over 500,000 miles. Look at this, unbelievable. What a truck. So we thought, stuff the campsite. Slept on a bed last night and my back is absolutely ruined. So here we are. This is the Hotel Abermare made out of mud. Just gonna take you for a little tour of my room. Give us a note. It's Mr. Ollie having a little sing. Happy little fella. So this is the room for the night. So we've got, look at this triple sprung mattress made out of mud. Look at that. Okay. These guys really do use their initiative. It's got power. That's if they fire the generator up. I'll tell you what, it really makes you grateful of the comforts back at home. These, I'm not sure what they're made out of, but check out the shower. Plumber, I think was pissed when he fitted these. 10 out of 10. A bit like the guy who installed the light and the toilet, but hey ho. Right, we're heading back to camp, guys, so we'll see you later.
So we had a bit of a recovery moment, and hands up to Rob. So we recovered a Toyota out the sand, which was quite a nice thing to do, because normally people say that their own Toyotas rub it in our face that Land Rovers are pretty shite. But anyway, next day, heading back down country.
So we've got 233 kilometres straight into the mountains. Give you a little lowdown on how this bit of a machine's behaving. Excuse the local on the bonnet. So, Rodent has been an absolute monster.
You don't have a big sticker?
No, sorry buddy.
I want to make like sponsoring for me.
I'll send you one in the post.
Yeah.
This guy here, he patched up 2 guys yesterday. Hopefully there's no more breakages. Cause
I love Mahker, by the way.
Mahker. That's it.
Mahker.
You've done it.
I remember this time was like up and over the top, and what blew my mind is as you're driving along, the rocks change colour. So one day you can have a pink rock, one day you can have a black rock, and then it's really interesting. But Dave Tree will tell you that I take my eye off the road quite regularly, and he wasn't very impressed when we were probably 3,000 feet up at some point, and I'm looking out the bonnet, oh wow, look at that nice village. But anyway, it was quite interesting. As you can see here, so we attacked a mountain pass that was 3,000 metres up, and then we had to drop back down again, and then we came up to another mountain pass, 2,950 metres up, and this is where Rodent really started to struggle. Only because me, Mr. Heavy Right Foot, decided to start planting it up the mountain in 3rd gear. We got to about, I want to say 2,000 metres up, and we really felt the altitude affect us, even to the point where I felt it on my breath. But anyway, I noticed the temperature climbing, and we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we dropped down to low box and we started crawling. And we learnt this from a local that was carrying donkeys up the mountain that flew past us in a Hilux. And I thought to myself, I heard that car revving, but I heard the RPMs that were low and they were moving. So we copied monkey see, monkey do. We put our car into low box, 3rd gear, and we crawled all the way to the top of the mountain. You'll see on these photos now, we got to the 3,000 metre up point, which is the Atlas Mountains, the passing point where you drop back down. And believe me guys, every 5 seconds you are seeing a new mountain, a new rock formation that is breathtaking. Definitely worth to do. And what we love to do is we would probably do 2 or 3 hours of driving and then find a cute little coffee shop somewhere, and there's all these little guys with little coffee machines in the back of vans, and I say just support them guys, because they're there to give you the refreshments and the coffee to keep you awake. So that was a fantastic day.
Just the higher you go, the higher the barrier gets. some climb, isn't it? She's warm. I'm warm. The fucking road's disappearing. Overcome itself at about 120. She's done well. Fucking hell. What a climb. Only 9 kilometres up. This is how the locals move the donkeys around. Recovery, hey. Here we are at the top. (3,005 metres up. What a drive. So she boiled maybe 1 kilometre from the top. You know what? It was worth it. I highly recommend this to anybody that wants to do this trip. Hands down the best ever. Super reliable Landrover, I see. Yeah. Cool. She's a bit happier at this temperature. Woof!
Would have been 120 shag.
She got a tad warm. And to think people live up here, there's a guy's house there, look at that. And the best bit is, guys, whenever you're in Morocco you have 4G, because these are everywhere. We'll leave you here, Dave, you look like a local. Just look at these views. So, what goes up must go down, and now we're going back up again. Ouch. So we're in second gear, low box, doing 10 mile an hour, and she's maintaining heat, so that does us. We're going to try and find some snow on a mountain. Note to yourself, boys, don't drop your helmet down a mountain. It's fucked.
Fuck your bike, fuck your helmet.
On to stage 6. So this was a very, very heavy day. As you can see there, 484 kilometres. And after this week, we were really starting to show our tiring. We were just like, oh my God, what a long trip. So on this day, we decided to take our time, head back down country and avoid the off-road section because we were just knackered, guys. We just wanted a good rest and head for the hotel.
You go for a swim?
So we're bombing it down the highway. We get to about, I don't know, 65, 70 mile an hour, and we heard this thump from the engine, and we thought, whoa, what's this? And we lost the core plug. And we were like, oh my God. So we pull over at the side of the road. You'll see in the photos now. It was devastating. The car had been so fantastic for this entire trip, and the core plug decided to let us down. But I had got the car to literally, I want to say 140 degrees climbing that mountain. So that was where the damage happened. So we pushed and pushed and pushed that engine to the point of breaking point. And of course, it found the weakest point, popped the core plug. So we called these guys, and I didn't have the correct tools with me to get to the core plug at the time. So I can't remember the guys out there, but I'm trying to think of their name. I think 4 Nigerian guys, fantastic mechanics. They were working through the night to keep the bikes going. They were working through the night to keep all the guys on track. And it was just fantastic. You couldn't have asked for a better team to be supporting us.
Come on. Steering wheels come off. Oh, we'll pull that back on again.
I did it, Rob. I thought I'd save it in case a wagon tilts the truck. You should have a momentum to take over. How good's that, lad?
Poor Ollie.
Here we
Not too
are.
bad. This is what I wanted for ages.
Broken down.
Motorbike in the back of the mechanic's pickup. Time to take me to the hotel. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Salam.
Inshallah. Okay.
The one under the starter motor. Is she nice and tight?
Yeah, good.
Very tight.
Yeah, good. Yeah. To look. To forget
Is
look.
it good? I'll come and have a look.
Look.
Incredible.
Let's have a look.
Look. ما حس لك شيء.
Look at that.
Fucking awesome.
Cheers, boys.
In the UK, that would take
Look.
a week.
So they came out to us on the side of the road, banged the cork black in with a bit of sticky glue, and on our way we went, and we got all the way through Barcelona, back to the ferry, and we were all happy. We were like, oh my God, we've sorted the car, we were on our way home. And then on the way home from there, we decided to give it some beans. So we got off the ferry after another 2 tiring days on that boat, and believe me, it does catch you out.
Shame they're not excellent in fucking loading you on the bastard. What's it do like, Rob?
Fuck me, Dave. We've got to feed you.
Fucking funny, that, isn't it? Fucking see.
There's that runner. We've got to look like.
At least 2 of those more to be.
If you finish the bottles, I buy the.
So we land into Barcelona, start heading home from Barcelona. Rob's driving, I'm booking hotels, and I tell you what, guys, we couldn't have done it if we did it again, if you like. Like the mistakes happened in such a bad sequence. But so what happened there? We left the ferry. We were super excited to head home. We've been away for a couple of weeks. We're bombing it down the highway, and of course, it's my turn to drive. And who blows the car up is Dave. So I put my foot down, trying to get 75 out of a 200 TDI, as we all know. She starts screaming a little bit. Bang! Out comes the core plug again. We lose our coolant in the middle of France, and it's about, I want to say it happened at about 1 o'clock. 3 hours later, we're sat on the side of the road. Recovery's not happening because I think Rob called the wrong number. But anyway, next thing we know, recovery truck turns up, picks us up, takes us to the recovery depot and says, I'm sorry guys, we can't fix this till Tuesday.
He's got lots of seats, brilliant.
So it survived Morocco and broke down in France. Absolutely great. It nearly made it, but the core plug, unfortunately, the fix out in Morocco didn't last. It's why, guys, you shouldn't be using core plug. In France, he didn't want these smelly pair in the truck, so we left them in it and recovered them from the side of the road.
So I'm there pulling some favours out of the bags, finding local French Landrover garages and specialists in their field. And my friend Sven from France managed to help us out. So he arranged the car to be collected from the recovery. So we decided, guys, let's just head to Montpellier, have a few beers and go home via plane.
What is happening, Robert?
We fucked up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we started off with Chateaus
In Michelin food.
and it's ending rather badly.
So there's a fair story behind this. So after the plane journey, we ended up at home, of course. Rob decided to fly back out there because now he's off to Portugal on his trip. So the car got repaired. All we did was a core plug and a radiator cap, guys. So that was a super impressive thing. We built the car over a 2-month period amongst the builds, and it survived the whole Moroccan trip. And we gave it an absolute pasting across the deserts, across the dunes in the night. One day we were doing 70 miles an hour across dunes. As you'll see in the videos, the bikes couldn't keep up with us, guys, because the shocks from ProLinks, the Fox, were literally working their absolute nuts off and proved it. The videos are there, guys. And if I was to ever do this trip again, I don't think I'd do it any other way, to be honest. We picked the right vehicle for it. We had a nice soft top, kept us in the shade, but we also had a nice breeze. I'd probably go for some nice cooling seats if that's a possibility, but we took the fridge, and you know what? The second alternator worked fantastic from Gwyn Lewis, and the suspension arms took a beasting, but they stayed in there, guys. So big thanks to James at Adrenaline, Chris at ORE, Oak Ridge Engineering. He made a fantastic job of the winch bumper. He gave some headlights. That really did help in the darkness, especially when we had to do the recoveries. And the winch was faultless. It was there when we needed it. We only used it once, but it saved the Toyota from the sandpit, if you like. Oh, and the most important bit that kept us cool was the Melvin and Moon seats, and they were fantastic. And all the Land Rover guys that were with us, they were drooling all over the seats because the seat package that we had is just fantastic. They cleaned up well, they kept your body cool. And at one point I was naked in the back of the car, minus my cowboy hat covering my crotch. But nonetheless, we had fun, guys. We had a fantastic trip, and I'm definitely going to pencil myself in for it next year. So, highly recommend it. If you want to do it, get in touch, guys. We can build you a car exactly for the trip and exact cooling, so we know how to make a car Morocco-proof in theory. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy the videos.